Hey there guys, and welcome back to Need for Speed Shift. In the last episode we completed the third race of the time attack competition in Tier 1. And the only race left available inside this competition is the fourth and final race, which is time attack at Rustle Creek. Now we have completed all of the other competitions within Tier 1, making the time attack the final competition. So once we complete this race, all of the competitions will have been successfully completed and every race will have been completed, and we have got every star available within Tier 1. Besides the invitational events, that is, because we still have some invitational events that we need to complete before we head out of Tier 1 and move on to Tier 2. So this is the final race of the time attack series. Let's go ahead and check out the event details. So the stars, we're going to get 3 stars from the podium finish, 2 stars from the point threshold, and 1 star from the race line. Now the race line is something new that we haven't seen before, so I'm going to take a quick second to explain what that is and how you can complete the objective to get that star. Alright, so the race line is pretty much that green line that you see throughout the race. Now in order to get this objective for the star, you're going to want to stay over top of that race line for 75% of this race. Meaning that every time, the first couple laps, you're going to want to stay over top of that race line for the majority of the race. Now it only counts for 1 lap. So if you can stay on top of that race line for 75% of the first lap, then you won't have to worry about staying over top of that race line for the second or third lap. So for 1 lap, you have to stay over top of the race line for 75% of the race in order to fulfill that objective. It's pretty simple. Just stay over the race line. Once you see you've completed it and you have the star on the left hand side of the screen, you don't have to worry about driving over top of the race line, and you can do your own thing. Alright, so moving on, the rewards for first place is $8,000. The restriction is a Tier 1 car required. And we currently have no best time recorded because it hasn't been raced yet. Over on the right, you can get a glimpse of what the track looks like. Now this is the track I was thinking about on the last episode. Remember I said this track has a lot of straightaways and it's really going to depend on your acceleration and top speed. Well, this is the track I was thinking of, because if you look, it's like one big circle. This kind of looks like a NASCAR track actually. But there's a lot of straightaways here, and it's really going to depend on your acceleration and top speed. So if you're still driving a stock car, you're probably not going to be able to place in the top 3 for this race, because it's most of the cars we're racing already have performance upgrades. Matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and buy another performance upgrade for this race, because this track is really going to depend on your acceleration and top speed. And since we're driving in a stock car, we're not going to be able to place within the top 3. So I'm going to go ahead and buy a couple performance upgrades for my vehicle before I start this race. Before we do that though, the time limit is 3 minutes and the distance is 0.62 miles, meaning that we're going to get a couple shots and a couple laps around the track before that 3 minutes has expired. The name of this track is Rustle Creek, and it's one of my all-time favorites. So before we do that, I'm going to head back and press the Y button to be taken to the home screen. Here I'm going to go down to upgrades, and as you can see, you have the Roman numeral 1. Now I would not upgrade anything with the Roman numeral 2 because that is required for stage 2. So right now all we need to worry about let's see here. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and
we'll install a big valve cylinder head and cam to add even more power.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and buy the engine stage 2 upgrade. So I now have
we'll install a big valve cylinder head and cam to add even more power.
I now have the engine stage 1 installed and the engine stage 2 installed on this vehicle. So I think that should be enough to get us through the race. Stage 3 is locked, so we won't be able to get to that yet. But I think engine stage 1 and the engine stage 2 should be enough to get us through this race. If not, that's going to suck and we're going to have to come back here and buy some more upgrades. Now, as I had said before, I wouldn't recommend buying all of these upgrades unless you're really having trouble getting first place. Mainly because we are almost done with Tier 1. This is the final race where we're going to need to rely on our car. So if you've made it this far without any upgrades, I would highly suggest to only buy the engine stage 1 and the engine stage 2. Because if you spend a whole bunch of money buying those upgrades, unless you plan on staying in Tier 1 for a while and racing more races to earn your cash back, it's pretty much a waste of money. Because we're about to be moving on to Tier 2 and we won't need this Tier 1 vehicle anymore. So with all that taken care of, let's go ahead and start up the time attack at Rustle Creek. Let's get this race over with so that we can move on to Tier 2. But before we go to Tier 2, we got to finish up them invitational events, which is going to be pretty challenging. But they're going to be worth a good amount of money. So remember, buying performance upgrades for this race is key to getting first place. So as soon as the race starts, you're going to want to get over top of that race line and try and stay over top of it for the majority of this race. Because if you look over on the left hand side of the screen, you'll see your star objectives, and at the very bottom it says own 75% racing line. So that's only for one lap that you got to do this for. Oh, I accidentally crashed. That's not good. And there it is. Only 75% racing line. The star objective has been completed. So now we can focus on getting our lap time up. There's 480 profile points. And there's 960 profile points. Very nice. Now, as you can see, we're in 4th place because of the guys ahead of us have really high lap times. So if you're trying to get a high lap time to get first place, I would highly recommend sticking to the bottom of the track, because that way you can cut off a lot of extra lap time. Because if you're higher up on the track, then it's going to take you longer to get around because you are actually going a farther distance. However, if you stay at the bottom, then it's less distance around the track. So just hang towards the bottom and try to hug the corners as tight as possible at the bottom of the track. This should get you a really high lap time. Hopefully this is enough to keep us in first place for the rest of the race. Keep an eye on the top left-hand part of the screen to make sure that you maintain your first place. This is the final lap. Once Don't you hear that buzzer? That means that the final lap is in progress. So hopefully we just set a new fastest lap, and yep, that was enough to maintain first place. So for winning, we get $8,000. Oh yeah, we got very good precision points. That's what I'm talking about. And that's enough for us to reach driver level 8, which is very awesome. So our rewards for leveling up is we earned a new invitational event and we unlocked metallic paint. Really good rewards. That puts our wins to 15 and losses to 0. We got a couple of minor badges and a master badge. Very nice. So with that race, we level up to driver level 8. We got 6 out of 6 stars for getting first place, getting the points threshold, and owning 75% of the racing line. Our best lap time was 24 seconds. And that takes care of that. So I'm going to go ahead and head back to the main menu. And that's it for the time attack competition for Tier 1. So I'm going to go ahead and press B, and that is the final competition for Tier 1. Now you can quickly overview all your stats. As you can see, I've completed the race coalition, and at the bottom you can see how many stars you can obtain within that competition. So we got 25 out of 25, which is all the possible stars in that competition. Then the manufacturer competition, we've completed that as well. And we've got the 20 out of 20 stars, which is all of the stars that you can earn in that competition. And finally, the time attack competition, which is what we just completed. And we got 24 out of 24 stars in that competition, meaning that we have all the available stars for that as well. So that completes Tier 1. The only thing left to do is go ahead and mop up the invitational events that we have received during Tier 1 races. So I'll see you guys next time, where we head into the invitational events for the first time and make some serious cash.